In today's adventure, we're completing our two-part look at Baltimore's Harbor Place shopping and dining complex by exploring its two flagship waterfront retail buildings, flanking either side of the city's inner harbor. Opening in 1980, the buildings operated together for decades as the crown jewel of Baltimore's downtown. However, as is the trajectory of so many similar places, a refusal to adapt meant eventually being left behind as trends evolved. As a result of declining performance, the buildings were sold in 2013 to a New York-based real estate investment firm for nearly $100 million, with promises of a grand revitalization. Instead, however, essentially nothing has been done. As of early 2022, both buildings sit at nearly 0% occupancy and have been left all but abandoned entirely as tenants flee to better, more appropriately maintained locations elsewhere around the city. Let's see just how far these once incredibly popular establishments have fallen. Seeing the first floor entirely closed off immediately upon entering was a surprise, as it had been a few years since I had been here and I was unaware of the severely neglected state of the building. The high-pitched whistle from what I'm assuming was the HVAC system made it feel more like a warehouse than a shopping center. Well, this is more desolate than I was expecting. This building is bookended by restaurants on both the top and bottom floors, 3 of which are still surprisingly open. The Uno's on this end and the Cheesecake Factory below it both seem to be doing halfway okay. It almost felt like a throwback of sorts to the overall success both buildings once enjoyed. One of the things I've come to enjoy most about exploring these dying retail establishments is all the different unintentional ways in which they create a heavy liminal space vibe. Nothing here. Can't tell, M&S something? Clearly closed. This is an active mall. I don't know if y'all call this a mall or shopping center. Whatever its business is. So there are outside accessible only shops, except most of those are closed as well. And from the outside it gives the impression that it's not too bad. I guess maybe I've just been desensitized. I mean, this is prime real estate here. Federal Hill, National Aquarium. After being so caught off guard by the first building, I decided to head over and check out the second, larger building to see if it was any better. this one. So we're basically right here. I mean, as you can see, Camden Yards of the Orioles plays right behind here. M&T-backed stadiums over this way too. World Trade Center. You've got the National Aquarium. A closed-off H&M entrance, guarded by an army of mannequins, to what was supposed to be an open store, was certainly an odd greeting. The H&M space in general here was confusing. As you'll see, it seemed to encompass multiple separate spaces on separate floors, and none of them were accessible, despite the store supposedly being open. Alright, this one is somehow worse than the other one. This is an example of what I'm talking about with the H&M store. There's a part of the store on the second floor, even though the second floor is closed off, as well as a portion we saw a minute ago on the first floor that was guarded by mannequins. This little exclave of sorts of the Bubba Gump restaurant was probably my favorite part of the exploration. It seemed so out of place and just gave off an overall strange and eerie feel. You know, from the outside you get the impression that there's at least some life in these places. I can't believe they have the entire second floor just blocked off. Let's see what they... Well, can't even get to level 2. I wonder, are these owned by the same company? Or just going out of business? Like, are they putting all of the places out of business? Well, that looks open. Maybe you can only access that from the outside. I don't even know. I am thoroughly confused. H&M looked like it inhabited like 8 different stores in here, and yet none of them were open. None of the H&M stores. I mean, really none of the other stores either. But I want to see if those restaurants are at least accessible from the outside. It looked like they were technically open. I know Hooters you could get to from the second floor back in the day. Well, it looks like they're open. You know, maybe my understanding of what is prime real estate anymore is completely outdated. But I'm getting the impression that real estate right along the water here is not as highly valued as it once was. Or or maybe the shift in American culture away from indoor shopping malls just means that people aren't interested in going inside. And something else like an outdoor mall could work better here. Because there are people here. Like, if you can see there at the makeshift ice rink, like, there are people. They're just, I mean, maybe chicken or the egg. Like, did the stores start shuttering? Well, I guess they would have had to have declining customers. But there used to be a really cool, like, Discovery Channel type building that was here. Or not building, a store that I used to come to. It's been like 20 years since I've been here. Well, Urban Goods. Okay, so they're open. Okay, so it's blocked off from the outside, but can I go, or from the inside, but can I go up here from the outside at least? In the last decade, both buildings have seen a wave of various tenants leave, including Urban Outfitters, Banana Republic, Ripley's Believe It or Not, and Five Guys. Notably, Build-A-Bear opened a shop here in 2018 just to close a few years later in September of 2021. Generally speaking, something that seems to have potentially contributed to the decline in foot traffic was management's decision to forego unique and locally owned stores in order to bring in those larger chain store names. It's pure speculation, but I'd guess that at a certain point, patrons realized they could go to any number of places around the city and surrounding areas and get the same experience. So why take the time and effort to fight downtown traffic when they were no longer getting a unique local experience? I've yet to figure out why the second floor of this building has been closed off. There were plans for a while to turn the second floor of the other building into a marketplace of sorts, but I'm clueless as to why they closed the second floor off here, but kept the first floor open despite having essentially no tenants. More shuttered places. So I'm guessing there are going to be people watching this that can fill me in with a little more detail about what exactly happened to this place. So I'm looking forward to being educated. What has happened to this place? So you can probably see it. Here's this place, and then if you look right there, hopefully the camera picks it up. That's the lights from the M&T Bank Stadium where the Baltimore Ravens play. And then I'm guessing we might be able to get a glimpse of Camden Yards as well, where the Orioles play, just to give you some idea of proximity. So between the water, the Inner Harbor. Yep, okay. And there, right there, is the warehouse for Camden Yards. So, now I think, relatively speaking, they actually need to close these places before they close that gallery mall, unless they're just closing all three at the same time. but I came over here just to see if there was something extra I could film to kind of fill out the content that I was shooting today. I was not expecting to find, I mean, this, what do you call this? Former mall, dead mall, dying mall, whatever. So this was a nice, also terrible surprise, I guess. Yeah, I think I was last here like 20 years ago, and I can't get over how far this whole area has fallen. Yeah. All right, so I think we're gonna call that for today. Smells like piss over here, that's great. In 2019, the Harbor Place shops were placed into court-ordered receivership after the current owners defaulted on the mortgage. With no potential new owners coming forward, and the city having ruled out taking back ownership through condemnation, the structures will likely sit in limbo, despite the occasional claim by city leadership that revitalization is right around the corner.